All right, welcome back. It may not look like there's been a whole lot of activity down here, but I've actually spent a decent amount of time along the edges of mats around there, all along the side of the tracks at the beginning of this compound yard ladder, and kind of blending in along the back there. So if I pull in a little closer, you can see, some more of the detail work here. Got the weeds starting to grow between the tracks there. Got the switch stands in and weathered. And just a lot of undergrowth and stuff growing all along this this right of way here. Added some more vertical elements across the top of the riprap there in the back, just to kind of blend it in a little bit better. And right here, this little chunk of mat here, I put a bunch of stuff in there, just different textures and colors, kind of blending, as I've talked about before. Pull back a little bit here. I got some more of those vertical dark green weeds along the track side on both sides, sort of continuing what I had done down there along the teddy bear fur field. So that's where this stands. I think at this point the remedial work I wanted to get done over here is largely done along the tracks. A couple other things I did just in this field, continued adding stuff to it. You can see this is some of that hecky wild grass, some different colors of that here, here, and here. And then that white sort of looks like something blooming that's white. That is Polak flower fibers. I'll show it to you in the next segment just so you can see what that is. I'm not sure if I've talked about that one before. And my cat's at the door crying. I don't let the kitties in here anymore. These trees make great toys, so cats don't come in here, but they want to be with me, so they're out there crying. So that's where things stand now. What I'm gonna do from here is make a few more trees, and I'll show that too. And I want to add a couple more taller ones kind of along here. I've got some of the lower undergrowth things, but I might want to add one or two more taller ones there. And then, as I mentioned before, I've got a little patch there, right there, that I want to add a few trees to that hill where I didn't have enough the first time. And then I want to come in here with a little bit more powder and kind of work that road and lot a little bit. I fixed the crack that you guys saw in a previous video, but I just want to clean that up a little bit. That's not exactly how I want it just yet. So remedial work continues. More to come. And as I said in the last segment, I used some Polak. These are short flowers, the white and the yellow there, because that kind of looks like the wildflowers, and especially the white looks like clover in a field, which is certainly in Central Virginia, a thing that's blooming, all through the summer, late summer where I'm modeling. And the yellow looks like goldenrod, or I don't know, various wildflowers kind of have that yellow color as well. I used the stuff sparingly. You can see how little has been pinched off. I've used more of the white than the yellow, just my own observations. There's more clover around here than some of that other stuff. But yeah, you use it sparingly, you pinch it off, and I find this stuff has more adhesive than a lot of the other mats, so you have to be careful as you're teasing it apart not to smash it. I find tearing off a little piece with tweezers and then using either toothpicks or tweezers or forceps or something to kind of tease it apart so your fingers don't smash a huge area of it. Because once it gets smashed down, it doesn't come back out. So it's a little bit different than some of the other stuff I've worked with, but similar to the hecky, I kind of tease it apart a little bit and then just lay it on top of whatever else is there to simulate some flowers. If I pan real slowly, come over here to Manchester, you can see where there's some of the white there. If you look in this field, you can spot some more there. There's some here and here. Looking for yellow. I don't actually see any yellow in that field. As I pan across here, I know I used some over here. Where did I use it? Let me come over here. Oh, here. Nope, that's not, that's something else. But you can see more of the white here. As I pan out, there's a little bit there, along the side here. The yellow is kind of lost. But anyway, there's the white I was just showing. So it sort of just looks like something else blooming. You know, if you look in nature, you've got all kinds of heights and textures and colors, and I feel like I'm getting close to pulling it off. So more to come. All right, moving on to super trees. I've talked about this before. Sometimes they come a little bit, you know, crooked or whatever, and that's okay. I don't mind. I don't need them to be perfectly straight, but I do work to kind of straighten out if it's really bad. As I zoom in there, you can see some little black marks along the trunk there. And what I do, I thought it would be easier to just show you. So you see where that's kind of bending down just slightly. If I rotate that up so the bend is facing up and kind of put a little pressure on the on a mat here, I actually use my soldering iron. And I come in and I hit the trunk on the outside of the bend and kind of push it down a bit. And you kind of just do a little bit, don't burn through it or anything. And you know, it does smoke a little bit, it's not too bad. But you kind of just give it some pressure in a few spots along that curve, and then it'll stand a little straighter. I mean, tree trunks aren't perfectly straight like an arrow, but that's a lot straighter than it was when I first took it out of the box. Then the other thing you want to do, there's all these little, pull out a little bit here. There's all these little leaves all through it. You just want to pull those off. You're going to break some branches. There's my pile of branches and stuff, but none of that'll go to waste. You can paint that and flock it and use it for undergrowth. You know, we model railroaders, we don't throw anything away. So I'll use that as undergrowth, and these are the trees. And so the next step I'm going to do, now that I've straightened them out as much as I want to get them straight, is I've got them in a little piece of foam here. And I'm just going to hit it with this automotive gray primer. It's a little lighter gray color than the one I was using before, and I feel like it matches tree trunk color a little bit better. And these aren't intended to be super detailed foreground trees, so there's not going to be a lot of bark texture or anything, but as you have a mass of them in the back, this gray color on the trunk is going to look a lot better than, you know, tan and red and whatever else this material can be naturally that obviously is not the color of a tree branch, tree trunk, etc. So I'm going to go out and spray these with this gray. I'll let that dry and then pick up from there. All right, we're outside. This is my spray booth. Also, the family can use it as a screen porch if they want. But anyway, just wanted to show the color here before I spray it for comparison. All right, so that's what it looks like with the gray. It's maybe a little bit subtle in the sun, but the trunks look a lot better gray than that tan or red color that they were before. Let me change angles here and see if getting the light behind me might work a little better. As long as I'm out of the shadow, there you go. So you can see it's not perfect. I'm not, because up in the top there's going to be leaf flock and stuff all glued to that. But, you know, I've kind of covered up a lot of that red and yellow kind of unnatural look and made it more gray. And just a case in point, just panning the camera around. That's just from my screen porch looking at a woods line, and you can see the tree trunks are gray. They're not brown. And they're certainly not tan or red. That's gray. All right, so after the paint dried, I used some spray adhesive and just sort of sprayed the branches, sprinkled on the Scenic Express Super Leaf. I used 3 different colors. I don't really mix the colors up on the same tree. I just make trees with different colors so you can kind of see them there. The next step I do, and I've talked about this before, is I just give it a little highlight with this florist spray, this yellow around the top. So I'm going to do that real quick, show you what it looks like, and these trees will be ready for the layout. All right, so I just literally, from maybe 18 inches away, I just spray some of this mist sort of in the air above the trees, let it kind of fall down on it, and that will give it a bit of a highlight effect. Just kind of easing it onto there. Maybe change directions just slightly, because the highlights generally come from, you know, one side, wherever the sun would be. But just like that, and that's it. So it's very subtle. Sorry, I hit the camera there. It's very subtle, but once it's under the layout lighting, that will appear as if it's sunlight up in the upper leaves of the trees. There, you can kind of see it from that angle. So more to come. And there are the trees we just made under layout lighting. So you can see how now the highlights really stand out. You can definitely see the trunks are gray, just like they are in the backdrop behind them, and in the shot I took in the side yard there earlier. So now it's time to plant these guys. Well, look at this. I actually have a couple of extra super trees. That's never happened before. So you can see where I put some in here. That tall one, and that tall one. I added those so this woods line here looks a little bit more complete. And does a better job of sort of hiding where the creek disappears behind the woods. I also added, like I said before, to this area on the front of this hill. You can really see how those highlights are picking up here now. The yellow highlight I did. So that, and that are 3 new trees, and then I added some underbrush, that one and that, from little scraps that broke off. So I think that that came together well. I'm intentionally not putting a bunch of underbrush in this area where you're in a little bit more of a denser woods, but I've got the deadfall and, you know, various detritus and stuff on the ground there. So I'm going to leave that like that without coming through with a bunch of bushes and stuff. I may come back in and add over here where I don't have the bark on the deadfall leaves as thick as I might like them there. I might come back and touch that up, but I'm gonna call that hill now done, finally. So this whole area, I'm kind of liking how it's come together now. Last thing I want to do for this video is come back in here and touch up this road. And for that, let me show you what I've got here. Just reaching. I like to use a pigment like this, like a light gray pigment. And what I do here is I use a brush that's got the bristles cut off, and I come in on either side, so sort of here and over here, and put this lighter, you know, put this pigment in there, and it gives the effect of like gravel dust. Usually where the tires go is like a lighter color, and the center will be still darker. And I'm probably going to use a bright boy or something and kind of smooth that out. The crack has been fixed, but it's kind of rough looking. That's ballast, that patch there, and then where it gets darker here coming towards us was I had a little bit of Highball's, I think there was their medium gray N-scale ballast from Highball products, but they're no more. I've had that stuff for a long time. I think I've used pretty much what I had. So yeah, switch in here. So I need to clean up that seam and just add some gravel dust to this area, and I think that will wrap this part up. Well, now this makes me very sad. I did find my container of Highball Products dark gray N-scale ballast, and there was about a tablespoon left. It's gone. I've used it all. Oh man. So I used that to kind of clean up this area a little bit. I just haven't glued it down yet. I will. But that's all of it. You can see where I've come in with that light slate gray effect for the dust where the tire tracks would be. And I just kind of want to clean this area up one last time. And I don't know why this is the reason this is giving me trouble if I pan out is because this is the teddy bear fur right here, comes along here, comes up right into the middle of that, and then comes this way. So right in the middle of that parking lot, I have a seam between the edge of the teddy bear fur, which I had shaved off completely, and just the table to the side. And the teddy bear fur has a little bit of give. So every time I put any pressure on there, as I just did when I was sanding it, I get cracks. So I'm going to soak the heck out of it with isopropyl alcohol and then do the diluted Mod Podge in there. And stop messing with it, because every time I bear down on it, I create a problem. So I'm going to do that, let it dry, and then gently come in with some powders and kind of tie it in. That stuff will darken to match the road going back. That Highball Products changes colors when it's wet and then glued. It darkens a bit. So that will match, because that's exactly what I used for the road in the first place. So I'll keep fighting this little parking lot and come back. So I think I got the gravel road the way I want it, including the parking lot there. It's not perfect, it's not my best work, but we're learning, and it looks pretty good. I tried to make some dust as if trucks were turning around or whatever here. I've got one more trick up my sleeve I'll show you, and then I'll take a zoomed out view of the whole area and show you what we've done. So I thought maybe one way to create some interest in that scene would be some ballast piles, maybe in that parking lot area. So all I did here was, this is 1 inch thick foam. They're scrap pieces from various projects around the railroad, but I just cut, you can see where the angle was, right? So I just cut the corner of that off along this edge right here, and it gave me a little off-centered sort of triangle shape. And I did it twice, and then kind of sanded each one. And I glued 2 of them side by side with a foam safe, I think it's Aleene's tacky glue, the white stuff. But it's supposed to be foam safe, doesn't melt the foam. Glued them side by side, so maybe it looks like maybe 2 dump trucks dropped a load of ballast side by side. So what this is going to be is gravel piles. So once this sets and cures, I'll just paint it with some cheap gray. I've got other grays, I may use this one. Cheap gray acrylic. Let that set, and then just glue ballast to it and build up, you know, little trailings on either side. But all right, so here is the side of the layout that I've done all the work on recently. You guys saw me do the teddy bear field, which was from there, goes right across to this river's edge, or a little stream bed there. You saw me do the stream bed and pour the resin in there. You saw me scenic this side, along the back there, some trees blending into the backdrop. So as I come in close, I do like the way this all came out. We scratch built the culverts and you know, did all of this from scratch. So this module over here has been, I don't know exactly when I started that corner hill over here with the stuff I made myself. Up there, that shrubbery and stuff we made from coconut coir and rubberized horsehair. We did all that. We did all these trees on the corner here. This is Manchester over here. So the brewery we spent a bunch of time on is over there in the corner. So sort of late summer, fall, and you know, of 2020 and into the winter. It's now January, and got this area done as well. And this represents just a little bit of a scenic break between staging, which is where that left track goes as it cuts through the backdrop behind those trees over there. And Manchester is obviously, if you go right through on that turnout there, you end up in the town of Manchester, which is my original module. So yeah, we've got this little, there's not really any switching action here, but a nice place to learn some new techniques and, you know, just create some visual interest. This will be a great spot for, you know, rail fanning, etc. A lot of traffic's going to be coming through here from staging into South Yard, which is just right there. So once I ballast these tracks, I'll go ahead and put trees in here and completely finish the scene off. But other than the trees that are going to be in that little patch there, I'm going to go ahead and call this done. So I'll put some still images up and, you know, show you guys what we came up with. That's how it looks. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope y'all are well and safe.